right, ladies and gents, let's get right into this tonight. Uh, First off, so as predicted, Steve Cohen's bid for the purchase of the New York Mets was approved again because de Blasio felt that he had to interject. Instead of worrying about everything else going around New York City, he had to worry about Steve Cohen buying the Mets. And for days, we've had to hear, A-Rod and J-Lo and all these, Jessica Ramos, politician in Queens, and everybody complaining how the Mets wouldn't sell to A-Rod. All right, when you're selling a house, okay, you own a house, all right? I'm going to use this as an example. So when you own a house, you could sell it to anybody you want, whether they're, it doesn't matter what color they are, national, none of that matters, okay? So why did it matter here that because A-Rod and J-Lo and they're like 15 partners that they were going to have, which would have caused utter chaos and who's running what, who owns the majority of this, who owns this, who has a percentage of this, right? Wouldn't it have been simpler to sell to one person who outbid all of them anyway? Who outbid all of them? You can't tell somebody who owns something who they sell it to. You just can't. Like, you're going to tell the guy at Chevy, well, you can't sell that guy that car because even though I want to pay less, you have to sell it to me. No, 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 no. It makes no sense. And, for de Blasio to call Rob Manfred and say, well, we're going to just, run through this with a fine-tooth comb and do whatever, it was just preventing what was going to happen anyway. So you wasted time. And it got the majority vote anyway. I think all but four owners, one of them being the Reinsdorf Corp over in Chicago, who I think was going to partner up with A-Rod, they were one that voted no for him. Again, I can understand, going, if you wanted to investigate it because he was involved in some scams or whatever it is, but he wasn't, right? No. So, why are we worried about it? Okay? But once it was approved and an announcer was approved, and technically right now it's not a finished deal yet. The Wilpons still own the Mets until it's signed, sealed, and delivered, which is probably going to happen in the next week or so. Could be sooner. But then all the hype started. All this, oh, now we're going to go out and get George Springer. We're going to go out and get this guy. We're going to go get Trevor Bauer. We're going to get JT Realmuto. First off, JT Realmuto has come out publicly and has stated he's not keen in playing in New York. Now, does that mean he doesn't want to play in the Bronx, or does it mean he just doesn't want to play in Queens? I don't know. Honestly, I really don't care because for the money he wants, it's just utter ridiculous to even pay him that much. So, again, and I've been saying that I wouldn't pay JT Realmuto $200 million. I wouldn't even really pay him $125 million. The guy's 30 years old, and he's at the declining years as far as catching. Now, if I'm the Mets, and this is what I would do, and I'm not a Met fan by any standard, but I'll tell you who you should go get. And it's Mike Zunino, who was recently, his option was Tampa decided to decline his option. It was like $4.5 million. And he's a guy who, he doesn't really have a lot of pop in the bat at times, but defensively as a catcher, he's pretty decent. That's who I would go after. I wouldn't, I get you want to go after the top free agents because you're trying to sell a winning product without it being on the field yet. You're trying to sell tickets. You're trying to, do all that, and I get that. But the issue is that now all these Mets fans have all these hopes and dreams that they're going to get everybody. Like overnight, they're going to become the New York Yankees. That's not the case. There's still things that's got to be figured out. Who's the GM going to be? Who's the manager going to be? Who are you going after? I don't see Trevor Bauer coming here for the same reasons I kind of don't see Trevor Bauer going to New York. He's very outspoken. He puts a lot of the attention on him. Him and Garrett Cole have had issues. I think if Trevor Bauer goes to the Mets, I think him and DeGrom butt heads. I don't think Trevor Bauer's ever going to calm down in that respect, which I think, even though he's a good pitcher, I think it kind of hurts his free agent value. Um, but someone's going to sign him. Somebody's going to give him a payday. Because how can you not? Um, Charlie Morton's another guy on Tampa. His option got declined. It was like 14 million, I think, 14, 15, like somewhere up there. Um, his got declined today. If I'm the Yankees, I'm calling up Morton. Listen, 1 year, 10 million, with a player option or a team option for another 10 million. Um, even if I'm the Mets, I go out, I sign a guy like Charlie Morton on my pitching staff. Um, the Yankees decided to pick up Zach Britton's option, which was like 14 million. Declined Jay Haps, which I didn't really see coming. Um, but I understand why they did it from the standpoint of now you don't have to pay him 17 million, but you can try to get him on the cheap because they did it with Gardner too, which really surprised me. Because they're going to try to bring back Gardy on a cheaper 1 year deal. I don't see Gardner really playing for any other team. He's the last remaining Yankee from the '09 World Series. So I think he really doesn't want to go anywhere else. I don't think he really wants to test the market. I really don't think he gets paid anywhere else if he goes. So he's better off taking whatever the Yankees offer him. Whatever Cashman says, hey, 1 year, 5 million. Gardner, you just sign it. You're going to be playing part time. You're going to be platooning with Frazier and Hicks. So, you know, I don't see him going anywhere else. But if he does, hey, it is what it is. Thanks for the memories. Uh, the Indians declined options on Brad Hand, who had a decent season in Cleveland. He had like a $10 million option. That's another guy I would try to maybe go after if you're trying to bolster your bullpen, whether you're the Mets, Yankees, Cardinals, Padres, whoever you are. Um, Carlos Santana is very interesting because you think Cleveland would have kept him, but Cleveland let him walk. They gave him they declined the option. Um, he is older than what he was, a few years ago, obviously. Um, Again, there's another free agent you go after if you're Steve Cohen in the Mets. You don't have to go out and get these big name guys and spend like you're the New York Yankees because you can win without doing that. It's been proven. You can win without having a big money salary cap. And even in a big market, you can do it. It's just a matter of what you're putting on the field, and it's a matter of what happens day in and day out. Now, I had to hear all day long on WFAN the minute this got announced was every radio show host who's a Mets fan. And you know what? You could celebrate it. Don't get me wrong, but don't hype yourselves up to think you're getting every free agent out there now. You could say, "Oh, Jim, that you talking trash because you're a Yankee fan." No, it's just truth is what it is. What you have to understand here is there's still a lot to do. You got to figure out who's the GM going to be. Is it going to be Brody, or are you going to put Sandy Alderson back in that spot? Honestly, get rid of Brody. You put Sandy Alderson maybe as a part-time GM, maybe at two GMs, and then or you put Brody with Sandy Alderson, but Sandy Alderson gets the final say because Sandy Alderson didn't put a bad Met team together in 15. Let's not forget that. Let's not totally shit on the Mets here for a minute. In 15, if certain things go different ways, they may have that third World Series, but they didn't. But to get Cespedes in 15, nobody thought Alderson was pulling that trade. But hey, he did, and that's a guy I would keep in a GM role. Uh, is Luis Rojas going to be the manager of the team? Honestly, why not? He's managed every single one of these guys that's been here now for 4 or 5 years, or they're on their way up, or came up last year. You know, give the man another shot. You can't go based off a 60-game season where there was uncontrollables in the season. You just can't do that. I give him another shot. Um, and obviously if he chokes it up, then you get rid of him. You find somebody else. Um, you know, speaking of managers, what really shocked me was so you have Alex Cora out there looking for a job. You have AJ Hinch who took the Tigers job today, which oh god, yeah, have fun up there in Detroit. Uh, I don't even want to start with that one. But Tony La Russa coming out of retirement to manage to manage the White Sox was one that kind of really shocked me. He hasn't managed in years, and I think honestly, it's not the same game he managed. Now, to say can he adapt and overcome and manage in this new era of baseball, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see on that one. Um, you know, I think Chicago declined some options today on some plays. I forget who, but they're a couple of pieces away from taking that division for the next 5 to 10 years. Um, it's going to be interesting with free agency this year because you're going to hear in the next coming days, weeks, even within the next month, people with options. Are they staying? Are they going? Um, you know, on the Mets side of things, they already started. Obviously, Wilson Ramos, they declined. Frazier, Chirinos. Um, I think they have up until like next week or something like that to offer to pick up Stroman's option. So he's not really a free agent yet, but chances are he will be. Um, unless again they offer to him. And the other thing with the Cohen sale, um, which boggles my mind to why, and De Blasio got a lot of scrutiny for this on every radio talk show that I heard. Because I heard that he was going to pay back all the money that was lost, I guess, to all to the concession stand people and whoever took pay cuts, right? That he was going to pay all that back. If the guy, if a guy like that's going to do that, and not many billionaires do the right thing, and trust me, they really never do. Um, this one is doing the right thing. Uh, how do you then step in and say, oh well, we gotta look at this and make sure everything's on the up and up? What's the guy hiding? He's not hiding anything. I think it's just De Blasio just doesn't know how to run the city correctly. So, let me interject in this. And then to find out the reason why he's allowed to do this is because City Field is built on City Island. I read on some report, I think on like Newsday.com or something. Um, that's not really why. It's because A Rod and J Lo have been whining and crying, and this Reinsdorf Corp, Jerry Reinsdorf didn't want it happening. Um, and what De Blasio, I think, fails to realize is when you bring in a new owner who has a lot of money and is trying to put a winning product on the field, that's going to generate ticket sales, which generates revenue, sales tax, things that the state needs to run on, right? Okay. So, therefore, that's why De Blasio has been labeled the jackass by everybody in New York. How are you going to stop a guy from coming in, buying the Mets, and then you're telling the Wilpons they can't sell it to him? Like, you're going to decide who he sells to. Okay? If you go to an auction and you're bidding on a car, and the guy, 10, 15, 20, right? And you have the highest bid. Is he going to go sold to the guy with the lower bid? No. You're going to win it, right? Okay. Case in point, Steve Cohen outbid everybody. Obviously, he had more money than everybody. I don't know why J-Lo and A-Rod are getting so, like, whiny about it. They got, like, 32 houses. Just go enjoy your life. Just go enjoy your life. What do you want with the stresses of running a baseball team? And you're going to have 15 people with you, like all these partners, who, you're trying to figure out who's running what, who's in control of what, who owns this percentage, what percentage do you own? Well, how much did you put in? How much did you put in? It's just, no. It's just easier with one person. It's just one person. You don't need a whole conglomerate in there running a team, because that's when it becomes another circus. And I think the Wilpons are smart in selling it to Steve Cohen. Not that the Wilpons ever make that great of decisions, i.e. Bernie Madoff for that matter. But they got approved. Congratulations, enjoy it. But again, Mets fans, don't start building these hopes that you're going to have this World Series team next year, because it's still going to take a minute to get there. And then like even on the Yankee side of it, it's going to be interesting to see what we do. Obviously Boone's staying. Cashman came out and said it. Hal Steinbrenner came out and said it. Boone's their guy. Um, you know, Britain, obviously, we picked up the option. What are we signing LeMahieu for? Because you can't let a guy like DJ go. If they let DJ go, it's going to be a bigger mistake than letting Didi go. Um, do we go out and get Charlie Morton, Mike Zunino, and move Sanchez to first? Because something's got to happen in that position. Uh, do we re-sign Gardner to a cheaper deal and platoon him with Frazier? Because Frazier earned his time next season coming up. And you could say, well, Jim, short season and he didn't play every game. Well, yeah, he wasn't going to play every game even if it was a full season. So what does that matter? The kid worked on his game and he improved. So let's give him a shot. And if he succeeds, he succeeds, and if he plays like crap, then you demote him to AAA until he can figure it out. That's all. Or build him up, All-Star break, trade him and get some other pieces. Who knows? Um, but then to switch sports and delve into football a bit, Trevor Lawrence, COVID-19. So now you got to sit out the game against Boston College, which honestly, why would you even have him play anyway? It's not like Boston College is like this elite college football team that's going to even give Clemson a real challenge anyway. Literally, I could go out and be the quarterback for Clemson and put up 70, 80 on them. So, he's out at least till the Notre Dame game because he has to self quarantine. See, it's weird because each conference in college has a different rule set. Like the Big Ten, I think it's you got to stay away for 3 weeks, and in the whatever, I think the SEC is where Clemson is. It's 10 days, so he might be back for the Notre Dame game. If he's back for the Notre Dame game, it's going to be a challenge for Notre Dame, obviously. But if he's out against Notre Dame, um, that's the game I think Clemson loses. You look on the Giants side of it in the NFL, Will Hernandez tested positive. They sent home like 10 guys yesterday, including 2 coaches. They tested them today. They were negative. Um, somebody who came into my job said, oh, this is Daniel Jones and Barkley's fault, but yet there was a report that came out that they weren't even near Jones and Barkley for a few days, so it's not from them. It's just eventually you're going to get it. No matter what precautions you take, eventually you're going to wind up getting it. And that's just the nature of this thing. There's no controlling it. Again, you can't control the uncontrollable. But to say, oh, Daniel Jones brought it into the facility, no. Because if Daniel Jones tested negative and if Saquon Barkley tested negative, then how did Will Hernandez get it? If you want to blame Daniel Jones, he obviously didn't get it from Daniel Jones. Now, I don't know if Jones got tested. I didn't hear anything about that. I didn't hear if Barkley got tested. I'm sure that Barkley did. I'm sure that Jones did. And I'm sure they tested negative because you already would have heard that Jones is out for Monday night's game. By the way, the NFL said that game's still going on. Obviously, presuming something catastrophic happens between now and then. And speaking of that game, Jason Pierre-Paul came out and he said that he's gonna prove a point to the Giants that he wasn't washed up when we let him go. Well, when they let him go, I don't want to say why I said we, but when they let him go, and honestly, they let you go because of your reckless behavior. That's what they did. What kind of jackass goes out on 4th of July and blows half his hand off? You literally look like you literally made yourself look like a jackass. I mean, and don't get me wrong, accidents happen, and you could claim it was an accident, but who knows? I wasn't there, you weren't there, we don't know what really happened. All I know is you only got like 3 fingers now, and just play the game. So you don't have to sit there and make it a statement game and say this, that, and this, that, and the fifth. Just leave it at, hey, listen, going to MetLife, playing the Giants, it's going to be a good game. That's it. They're going to be without Goodwin, obviously, the Buccaneers, but what's that really going to matter? Because I'm sure Brown's going to be in this game, and That's going to be interesting to see. How does Brown and Brady interact? How does Brown interact with anybody at this point? Most importantly, him and Arians. What's that body language going to be like on the sidelines? That I'm curious for. Um, you know, and then you got Michael Thomas for the Saints is out again, and he hasn't played since like week one. Part of it's injuries. Part of it is stuff that's happening behind the scenes, and I think he's starting to get to that prima donna stage where he thinks he's the best guy on the team and he needs to dial it back a bit, especially when he's fighting his own teammates. Um, Now the Bills Patriot game is now very interesting because Edelman's out because he had knee surgery. I guess he had knee surgery after their loss against the Niners. Um, so he's out. I think there was somebody else out for the Patriots. So if I'm a betting man, I take the Bills in this game. Um, I don't think the spread's even that big anyway, and I think the Bills are going into it favored. If I had to guess, between like 3 and 7 points. So I would take the Bills in that game. I think Josh Allen is going to wake up a bit, and they're not just going to score all their points on field goals because to beat New England, you got to score touchdowns. I can see Cam getting pulled in this game again, and them going with Stidham. Uh, and if I was Belichick at this point, I would just sit Newton and ride with Stidham anyway. It's not like you guys are going to the playoffs, so you might as well just experiment with different things for next season. See what works, what doesn't work. Um, and then last night, that Thursday night game, I was in and out of it. Uh, I would fall asleep, wake up, catch part of it, fall back asleep, and Matt Ryan utterly kind of impressed me. That first drive, Julio Jones is literally unstoppable. Anywhere Ryan threw it, Julio Jones is there. Um, they were also saying that they don't want out. But if a team comes to you and offers you something insane for either one of them, you got to do it because Atlanta. I'm sorry, and I agree with Joe Thomas at the NFL Network. You got to do a complete rebuild there. It's just time. It's just time for the rebuild. You haven't won anything with either one of these guys there. You got Calvin Ridley there who can replace Julio Jones, assuming he could ever stay healthy, because it seems like every other week Ridley's got another injury. Last night he got hurt. I think it was an ankle injury this time. If he stays healthy, the kid's got a promising career, but right now it don't look like it. Um, I think Robbie Anderson kind of got brought down to life last night because they were making him out to be the next Jerry Rice on every pregame show that there is on Thursday night. He really didn't do much last night. Then Teddy Bridgewater took a cheap shot in that game. I think they took him out for a bit. So we'll wait and see what happens as far as that punishment. Still waiting on that Raider punishment, by the way, Goodell. If you ever want to get onto that one, it would be nice. With your crazy hectic schedule in life. I mean, come on, I could have already did this punishment. And then last night, because the next thing is obviously the Steeler-Raven game. So I go to Tropical Smoothie last night, and I got to hear, you're not winning this Sunday. And it has to be one of those cocky, arrogant Ravens fans, right? So I turn around and I go, listen, man. I said, who's undefeated right now? And he goes, yeah, we won't be after Sunday. I said, yeah, but who's still leading the AFC North? He goes, not after Sunday. I said, yeah, but you're going to be without your top running back in Ingram, and you got some injuries on your end, as do we. As of right now, we're without. Last I read, Hilton's probable but doubtful to play. Jordan Dangerfield, who's a huge special teams presence, he's out. Ulysses Gilbert is another guy who's a decent player for us. He's out. Both teams are going in banged up. But the difference between this game and the past two is that our quarterback is back now. And I don't care. You can hype up Marlon Humphrey all you want. Oh, he's the best corner in the league right now. Listen, bottom line is this. You can have Dez Bryant mimic Chase Claypool all you want in practice. You're still not going to stop him. You're still not going to stop Deontay Johnson, and you're not going to stop Juju. That's it. This is a different offense than what it was last year, and that's something Ravens fans need to understand. And not only that, Baltimore, you're going up against the number one, I said it, number one ranked defense in the league right now. So Lamar Jackson will be contained. Tomlin, I'm sure, has watched all the tapes of Jackson, and I'm sure they had somebody come in and emulate all Jackson's moves. So if you think Lamar Jackson's running wild, think again. I'm not saying that this is an easy game. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I'm not saying any of that. This is a game that literally, if you're a Steeler fan, you're a Raven fan, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, you're biting your fingernails, you're screaming, you're cursing, you're slamming your phone on the couch, you're freaking yelling at the dog because he's looking at you. Whatever it is. For 3.5 to 4 hours on Sunday, from 1 to 4 o'clock, you are literally going to be the most stressed out you've probably ever been in life. Like I said in the other video, you're literally going to be like a pregnant woman because you're going to be hot, cold, mad, pissed, sad, happy, laugh, cry. Every emotion you can think of is what you will feel in 3 to 4 hours of Steeler Raven football. You just always do. And, you know, it's one of those, if we get tripped up, this is a game you want to get tripped up on because it's still early in the season. It's not that it's early in the season, but if we lose this one, I'd rather win this one than lose this one because I don't want to lose the one later on because the one later on may actually mean something. Who knows? You know, but again, all these Steeler haters come at Steeler fans talking about, well, you got an easy schedule, you got a cupcake schedule, you know, who'd you really beat? Well, we beat the teams we're supposed to beat, just like your team beat the teams you're supposed to beat. It's not my fault the Jets are 0-7. It's not my fault the Giants are 1-6. It's not my fault that Dallas is playing like utter trash. It's not my fault that that the Falcons can blow wins and huge leads. No, that's not my fault. That's your team's fault. So don't come at me because I didn't write the schedule. You're supposed to beat the teams you're supposed to play. Last I checked, that's the way sports go. Whether it's football, baseball, hockey, cricket, I don't care what sport it is. You're supposed to beat the teams you're scheduled to go up against. You know, so don't come at me with a cupcake schedule. Just don't do it because it's just an asinine statement that makes no sense at all. Especially when your team can't beat the Dolphins and your team, you know, and you could celebrate the huge blowout against New England. You know, but you're not playing a Tom Brady New England Patriot team no more. You're playing a Cam Newton Patriot team, which really isn't that great to begin with. So don't come at me with cupcake schedules. You know, well, you played you played the Browns and you played this team and you beat the Giants and you beat the we beat the teams we're supposed to beat. That's the way football is. That's the way the schedule is written. You know, if anybody has ever had cupcake schedules, why don't you go look at New England's schedule over the past 20 years? Okay, look at that. All right, so don't give me a cupcake schedule. You know, and now, and speaking of games that people are looking at, this is a cupcake win, is the Chiefs-Jet game. Well, now that Crowder is pretty much out, Perriman's in concussion protocol and can't get out of it, who does Darnold have now? He's got nobody now. I think this game now utterly becomes an utter slaughterfest that Mahomes may be out before halftime. Because the Jets defense is not keeping them in this game. The spread now is like 19.5. You're playing in Kansas City. You stand no shot to begin with. But still, I don't know if I really take Kansas City with the points because, you know, like I said, historically, teams really don't cover with high spreads. And don't get me wrong, it's tempting to do it, but it's one I probably would just stay away from entirely and wouldn't even bet it at all. Because if you bet the Jets and the Chiefs cover it, you're just gonna you're just gonna lose your shit. And then if the Chiefs don't cover and you took the Chiefs against your own team, you're gonna lose your shit anyway. So that's just a game. If you don't want to lose your shit, just stay away from it. Bet something else. Bet another team, like Browns Raiders. I think it is this Sunday. I think it's like a 2.5 spread. Take the Raiders at 2.5. Just guarantee you one of them's going to cover it. Um, and that's another one where, well, how's the Browns' offense going to be now that Beckham's out? Well, I think he got a glimpse of it when he was out last Sunday, and Baker Mayfield all of a sudden like transformed into like a super quarterback for like the rest of the game. Uh, like I said, I don't give the man credit at all, but I don't think Odell is the offensive fit for Cleveland. He's obviously misused there. Adam Gase would tell you that's irrelevant, and he's not even the coach of the Browns. I think he's just misused there. I don't think they know how to use him because you have him and Landry, and they both play the same way. Um, Honestly, if I'm Cleveland, I build him up when he comes back and try to trade him off to see. He would flourish in Miami with Tua. He would be a great fit in Arizona. Um, he would be a great fit even in like Seattle because Seattle can always use another wide receiver. I mean, what can't Seattle not use and win? Um, I just think on the Odell Beckham side of it, I think he gets a lot of crap because of his Hollywood lifestyle, how he lives, and how brandish he is. But I don't take the man's talent away from him at all. I mean, he had one of the greatest catches of all time. I'm sorry, but the Immaculate Reception was voted the greatest catch of all time. But Odell's is right behind it, and Odell is a talented wide receiver. Um, just got traded to a crappy team is really what it is because GM at the time was clueless. He was probably huffing paint, doing whippets in the dairy aisle. Who the hell knows? And it's unfortunate because Odell's wasting his prime years now in Cleveland and hurt. It's just utterly. It's just a shame. Um, they should have traded him in the middle of last season and just taken what they could have and just let the man be happy somewhere else. See, he'll say that he don't want to leave, he don't want to get traded, he's happy here. But if you watch how he says it, just look at the face, look at the body language. It says different from what's coming out of his mouth. Um, that's almost as horrible acting as a porno film. Um, and if I'm his agent, I go to Cleveland. Listen, he's going to come back, he's going to play, but by the trade deadline next season, he wants out. Do what you got to do, regardless of his value. He just wants out, or just buy him out. Buy him out during his injury and let him go somewhere else. See, now here's a team I'm going to shock you with where he could have helped, and this would probably maybe save the quarterback from being released or traded next season. Is the Jets? Um, because it would have been a huge weapon for Sam Darnold. One. And if they were able to keep Robbie Anderson, just think of that combination. That would be a lethal combo. You could agree, disagree, but when you have a healthy Odell Beckham, look at his numbers. Because they're not crappy numbers, but I just think in Cleveland, Baker doesn't know how to utilize all those weapons, and that's why Baker Mayfield's never going to be a good quarterback in this league because you got handed all these weapons and you don't know what to do with them. You don't know what to do with Jarvis. You don't know what to do with Njoku, who still wants out, mind you. He still wants to be traded out, from what I keep reading. Which that whole signing Austin Hooper never made any sense to me. It just didn't, because you already had Njoku. I understand Stefanski likes to run a two tight end offense, but I guess Njoku thought, hey, you know what? Well, now this is going to interfere with my stats, and which players got to realize it's not all about your stats; it's about your team winning. And this is why Cleveland will never get it right. At least right now they won't. And then, but like going back to the Jet thing though, with Beckham going there with Darnold and Robbie Anderson, and then if they actually knew how to use Le'Veon Bell, Jets fans, you might be sniffing the playoffs. You wouldn't be 0-6, 0-7. You wouldn't be battling for the first pick in the draft, which is something that I get. When you want to go into a rebuild, that's what you decide to tank. It's the San Antonio Spur effect because Like, look what San Antonio did. They stunk, and then they got Tim Duncan. And then they got this guy and this guy. It's the same thing. But see, it works in basketball where one guy can change the aspect of the whole team, but it doesn't in football because there's just too many elements. There's too many positions. There's too many things that it takes more than one person. And again, with the Jets and Trevor Lawrence, and Dabo Sweeney came out and said, he said, "Hey, I don't think he needs to stay another year, but hey, if he wants to, he's more than welcome to." The thing though that Trevor's got to worry about, and he's got to think in the back of his mind, is that if he does stay, and he takes a nasty hit, and it ruins his college career, he screwed himself. So honestly, and I mulled this over for a few days, and you could say I put myself in Trevor's shoes that if I was a kid with all this talent, and I'm the touted number one prospect in all of football right now, I come out. I come out and get my payday. I'd rather take my career-ending injury in the NFL and get my check than sit in college and not get paid and then wind up working at a car wash in Podunk somewhere. Okay, that's just what I would do. And then they were saying, well, if Lawrence comes out and he don't want to go to the Jets, that the Jets should draft Justin Fields. Yeah, but again, what then are you? So now let's say the Jets wanted to. So let's say the Jets decide Joe Douglas goes, all right, you know what, Trevor, you don't want to come here, right? Well, I'm going to take Justin Fields. Again, what are you putting around Justin Fields then? Because if you're going to put trash around him, expect the same result that you're having with Darno now. Because the blaming Darno thing can only go so far, and you can only blame him for so much before see, real Jets fans know who's really to blame for everything, and they know their team more than I do. Okay, I'm not saying I know the Jets inside and out. I don't, but from what I see, Adam Gase is the problem. Look at how many players he ran off in Miami. Again, we know the history of Adam Gase. He's never going to take accountability for his mess ups. He's never going to take accountability for losing. It's always going to be on somebody else. Oh, we're not winning. It was Le'Veon's fault. You misused him, jackass. You misused him. So who's at fault? Bell or you? Oh, it's you, the coach, the offensive guru. You're not an offensive guru. You even let this other guy call plays last week. That didn't help. So honestly, Jets like the Bengals, like not the Browns, the Bengals, Jets, Falcons. They need to do a complete rebuild. A complete rebuild. You got to clean house and decide who you're going to build around. Now in Cincinnati, obviously you build around Joe Burrow. Obviously, so you have your foundation. The Jets need to find a foundation, and in Atlanta, you need to find a healthy foundation. Because if Calvin Ridley can't stay healthy, then you got to find pieces to build around. Then, like even in Miami, you could see the slow rebuild, but is Tua the answer? Is Tua going to stay healthy? These are things we're going to find out this week, and I wouldn't have started him against the Rams for one reason, and that reason being Aaron Donald. Because Aaron Donald's going to destroy this kid. And, all it's going to take is one hit for that injury to take effect again, and you got to go to Fitzpatrick again. And if I'm Miami, I don't trade him. Obviously, Dallas is going to be looking for a quarterback because right now Dalton's doubtful, so they're going to start that DiNucci kid. Somebody on the Cowboys came out and said, oh, you could see a fire in his eyes. And it's like, okay, but nobody's ever heard of you. But then again, if he creates a spark and Dallas runs the table and wins the NFC North, okay, then, good job. But honestly, I see this thing being a three-way tie for who's the crappiest team winning the NFC North. The NFC East, I should mean, sorry. The NFC North, it's always a 2-3-way battle. This year, it's Chicago and Green Bay, pretty much. Minnesota's out of it. They've given up all hope. So, and that's another team. Honestly, I think you cut bait with Kirk Cousins. If you're smart, you trade him to the Jets. and get the number one pick, and then you get Trevor Lawrence, and then you get a quarterback to build around with Justin Jefferson and Thielen and Kyle Rudolph and Dalvin Cook, because Kirk Cousins is just wasting he's wasting their prime years by being so inconsistent. The guy literally couldn't hit a garbage can 2 feet in front of him right now if he tried. He'd overthrow it by 50 yards. Okay? So, maybe that wasn't the system for him. Maybe the Jets, whoever they decide is going to be the next head coach, maybe that's the system for him. But we all know Trevor Lawrence isn't going to go to the Jets. And if he does, then so be it. But I don't think he is. So the Jets got to figure out all these scenarios of, hey, if he doesn't want to come here, what are we going to do? You know, do we draft Fields? Do we trade this pick and get a quarterback who's already been in the league for a few years, who can learn the system quick? Who's the coach going to be? You know, all that's got to be figured out within that organization. You know, and again, the same thing, you know, even with my team, we got to figure out who Ben's heir apparent's going to be. Like, you know, he's not getting younger, and you know, they're talking about possibly signing him again for another 2 years when this contract's up. If that doesn't tell you they don't have faith in Rudolph or Dobbs to take the keys from him when it's all said and done, then you know, you really gonna chance it on Ben? You know, Ben's taken more hits than Brady ever could have. That's why Brady's lasted so long, because he doesn't take nearly as many hits as Ben has taken, or deadly hits for that matter. I honestly, you know, a lot of Steeler fans that I talk to, you know, on Twitter, some of them have been like, yeah, that's a smart move because, you know, Darnold's not a bad quarterback and he would thrive in this system because he'll have weapons to throw to and he'll have a running game and offensive line to protect them. And then one said, what are you, crazy? Dwayne Haskins, we can get him for nothing. First off, I don't want Dwayne Haskins, okay? He's utter garbage. And it's a shame because he was so good at Ohio State that how he fell so far is beyond me. That to the point that, you know, he can't start a game at that the Washington football team don't want him. But it's just amazing to see who's even going to take him. Honestly, I think you just find out he gets released in the next 2 to 3 days, because nobody's going to trade for him. If you're a team that desperate for a quarterback, then maybe Dallas trades for him. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is there with the Washington football team. You know, the kid had to learn from one offense and then go into another one, and maybe that's why he can't learn it, because maybe this one is more intense. Who knows? But, you know, I don't want him. I don't see him as the heir apparent to Ben in any way, shape, or form. Darnold could be. Never would I say Pittsburgh's going to trade a first-round draft pick for a number one draft pick. In fantasy land, which I don't live in, I would love to see it. I would love to see Trevor Lawrence in the black and gold. And by the way, it's black and gold, not black and yellow, but you younger kids, whatever. I get it looks more yellow, but again, black and gold. And, you know, again, Dobbs is a decent backup for us, but he's not the heir apparent. Rudolph is questionable at best. He's not the heir apparent. Our heir apparent's not on the team. Our heir apparent is already playing in the league. It's just a matter of which one is it going to be, who are we going to trade for. Somebody even messaged me the other day on Twitter that I'm friends with, and he goes, hey, what would you think about if we traded with Minnesota to get Kirk Cousins? No. Absolutely not. No way. No. 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 Hell no. 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 I wanted to take the phone and launch it into the pond in the complex I live in with that utter stupidity. Why would I want Kirk Cousins? After I literally just sat here 2 minutes ago and trashed him. Did I want Kirk Cousins? No. At that point, I'd rather Dwayne Haskins then. If I'm going to trade for a crappy quarterback, it might as well be for Dwayne Haskins. He's younger. Got a lot more years of football left in him than Kirk Cousins has got at this point. And what I'm still trying to figure out, though, This is what I'm still trying to figure out. Is why did Minnesota ever give him all that damn money? Why? What did they see? What did they see in Kirk Cousins to sign $84 million? I get that weed's legal up there, but you must have smoked some real good exotic shit to give him that deal, because that was an atrocious deal, atrocious by all means. I would never have signed him to $84 million. I never would have signed him to $8 million. I at best probably would have given him $4 million on a 1 year deal. Um, he wasn't even that great in college at Michigan State, to be honest with you. I believe that's where he went. It's been so long since I can't remember. I think it was Michigan State. He was trash there too. Signing him was like making Geno Smith a starting quarterback for the Jets. You just knew that was never going to work out, and it ain't working out with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. Um, and there's a quarterback in the league I do feel bad for, but it's one I would take on my team if he could stay healthy, and so far he hasn't really been hurt. Is Stafford in Detroit? Um, he's just constantly getting screwed there. Matt Patricia coaches with his head up his ass, with a stupid little pencil up in his hat. You know, I don't know what to do next. What would Bill do? Well, what Bill would do is not coach with his head up his ass. Okay? That's why Matt Patricia should have never taken a coaching job and had stayed in New England and learned longer. Why do you think Josh McDaniels went back? Josh McDaniels took a coaching job that he clearly wasn't ready for when he first did it. Okay? He tried to prove that he could branch off the Belichick tree and succeed. He proved he couldn't. He didn't act like a little schoolgirl. He went there hat in hand and said, "Hey, you know what? Can I come back?" And they said, "Yeah, Josh, sure, why not?" And again, I keep telling you, Josh McDaniels hasn't taken another head coaching job for all these years because he's replacing Belichick. It's as simple as that. 2 plus 2 is still 4, right? Well, New England, subtract Belichick, add McDaniels, equals McDaniels is the head coach. There's your 2 plus 2. Okay? Um, as far as who now, speaking of who next coaches would be, who replaces Gase on the Jets, I'm hearing that the Jets might call Dabo Sweeney. For the life of me, it it doesn't work bringing a college coach in. And you could ask Nick Saban, who went from college to the NFL back to college, and you could ask a whole bunch of them who've done it. Steve Spurrier is another one that coached Florida, left, what coached Washington, didn't work out so well for him either. Um, I think Lou Holtz did it too. Coached Notre Dame. He, I think, went and coached Washington. Didn't work out there either. For some, it does. Some they could adapt from the college level to the NFL level, and others just can't. If I'm the Jets and you want to sell a winning product, if let's say Trevor stays, your selling point too is, hey, we got this guy's head coach. Now maybe that's why the Jets want to call Dabo, because they figure, hey, if we get Dabo Sweeney to come to the Jets, Trevor will come here. But again, what are you putting around him? Who are you going to go sign? Who are you going to go sign? Who? Who? Who are you going to sign? I get you got to wait till after the Super Bowl, and then you're going to find out who the free agents are, and then you got the draft and all that, and I get that. So there's time between now and when that occurs. But who are you even considering? Because if you're going to go into next year with Dabo Sweeney as your as your coach, with Trevor Lawrence, and you're going to go in there with Frank Gore, who's not that much older than me, and you're going to go with Jamison Crowder and Perriman and Ryan Griffin, and that's it, you're going 0-16 again. So they got to figure out what they're doing, and I can see Dabo Sweeney adjusting to the NFL level. I could see it because he's not a dumb coach. Obviously, and he coached Clemson. Um, you know, that's the only way the Jets could get Trevor Lawrence to come here. Is they're going to have to bring the head coach in from his school to coach this trash of a team. Um, it's just it's just utter insanity that the Jets still can't get it right. And it's been years upon years upon years upon years upon years that you Jets fans have suffered so long. Um, that I don't even get how some of you still even watch. I would honestly probably, I don't know what I would have done in this case if I was a Jets fan. Um, because I probably would have just been like, you know what? I'm freaking done with this team. I can't watch this crap no more. You guys don't do nothing to improve the team. It's just been nothing but pain and torture. And honestly, I can't take it no more. I can't watch this crap. That I probably would have stopped watching football a long ass time ago. Uh, the Giants got a lot they got to figure out on their end too. You know, what weapons are they going to bring in? The deadline was extended till I think November 3rd now. I'm hearing they want to make a trade. Possibly they're looking at Galladay from Detroit. Go ahead. Make that deal. Trade Golden Tate back to Detroit. Trade Evan Ingram to Detroit and get Galladay. Doesn't matter. You guys ain't going anywhere anyway. But hey, if you can get Galladay and you can keep him for next season, why not? But I'm telling you, this draft is every year it seems to be a big draft for the same teams who still can't get it right. It's going to be a big trade. It's going to be a big draft for the Jets. It's going to be a big one for the Giants. It's going to be a big one, for the Bengals again. It's going to be a big one for, every team that's 2-14, 1-15, 0-16. Yeah, Jets, you'll be 0-16. Don't worry. It's even going to be a big draft for New England even this year. Because you're going to have to find a receiver eventually to replace Edelman. He's not getting any younger. You got to find a decent tight end because you guys really don't have any. It's going to be an interesting draft. And draft night is very big in our house. It's very big. Like, literally, from the pregame show of the draft to the final day of the draft is watched. It's just because that's how in depth that I am in with the Steelers as a fan. My ex-wife is, her boyfriend with the Giants. Which it's funny watching the draft with him because his reaction to the Daniel Jones draft pick was classic. I don't feel bad for a lot of people when stuff like that happens. I actually felt bad for him. He goes, just how? What? How? I said the same thing. I said, how with the sixth pick? How could you get it so wrong? That's like playing fantasy baseball, and I can say this from experience because I did it. And I drafted a closer with the first pick in the draft because I started queuing everybody. Then the draft started and I wasn't paying attention, and it picked the first guy I friggin' queued. That's like what Gettleman did. Oh, Daniel Jones, first cue. Oh, Daniel Jones it is. Come on. It's utterly insane. But we're going to have an interesting next few weeks of football. Super Bowl, I hear, is going to be 20% capacity, 6-foot pods, masks are mandatory. Could change depending on how this all goes. Could be more, could be less. It's very surreal, though, this year with seeing so little people in the stands. But it's glad to see that they're finally starting to let fans in. At least they're doing it smart. That for most of them is social distance for the most part. Obviously, if you go as a couple, obviously you're gonna sit next to each other. You gotta. I'm assuming that they're enforcing the mask rule. This will be the first time that the Ravens have fans in the Rat's Nest. Uh, you know, to get away from sports for a minute, everybody's just got to be smart out there when you go out there. We all got families at home. Some have different situations from others. Relatives with with illnesses and easily susceptible to it. Um, you know, just be smart. Like I got to deal with jackasses all day that come to my job, and I got to tell a grown man they got to go back out to their car and get a mask. Like there's signs all over the place. Wear a mask, right? It's not that hard. I get it's annoying, and I get it's annoying. But if I can wear a mask for 8, 9 hours a day, an NFL referee can wear a mask when he's running around the field, you know what? Then you can do it too. And you got to walk into a parts store, Stop and Shop, go get your hair cut, whatever it is. Um, but now to jump back into sports for another quick minute before I go. Um, I'm still trying to work on the podcasting. I don't know what I'm doing yet. Obviously, I'm going to keep doing more videos. I want to start having somebody with me, but I don't know how I'm going to do that because, uh, everybody I know that would do it, they're always constantly working. So I got to figure that out. Um, you know, again, I like doing stuff like this. I like speaking my side of things. I wanted to become more interactive, with people. Again, don't hesitate. If you want to ask me a question, you want to debate something, we could do that. A friendly debate. I'm not a guy who's going to tell you you're wrong and shut you up on the spot. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to do it. We can have a friendly debate. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Um, we could do it. We could meet somewhere. We could record it. We can make it a video. Whenever, wherever. I don't care. Um, Again, when I post a video, I'll put where you can message me, where you can email me. And that's pretty much it. Till the next video, which I'll probably do Sunday after the gym. I'll do a quick little Sunday football. Maybe I'll go over the spreads, maybe who you should pick, who you should stay away from. If you play fantasy, maybe I'll do who I think is going to have top performances this week as far as the Sunday. Um, Otherwise, till then, be safe, mask up, peace.